operating and functional, and
more or less, yeah.
that's good. That's
same
good.
old stuff.
Yep, I'm sure. All right. Just so everyone knows, we are live and to the public, so.
Hi, John.
Hello, hello.
Let's see.
Evening, Bob. How you doing?
Hey, Andrew. Okay. Let's go out of here.
You hear me, Andrew?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. We could hear you. We could hear your dog in the background too, Roger.
Okay,
So
sorry about that.
That's okay.
This time.
That's all right.
There we go. Andrew, you didn't get my text on invocation, correct?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to make sure there was nobody else I needed to invite.
Yeah, I knew that was. And I did talk to Pastor Matro about it. I said, I think I'm going to get Commissioner Wiki to do it tonight. He said, okay, if you can't, let me know.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And Andrew, I'll let you know about the Memorial Day Parade. You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Yeah. They were asking me, so I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if you were going to be available or.
I'm trying to talk our vice mayor into doing it.
Ah, okay. That was going to be my next question. If
Yes.
not you, then is there
Because
another?
I did it as vice mayor, I did it as mayor. John did it one. I think John, did you do 2 times?
Yeah, I did it 1 year.
Yep. And then I'm in the conversation with the current vice mayor, see what he wants to do.
Okay. All right. Can I safely tell them though that we'll have somebody there
Yes.
representing the city? Okay.
Yep. And I don't think Skip is going to be with us tonight.
Yeah, I didn't have any indication that he was. Last I heard, he said he was not going to be able to make it.
Yeah, he went north to hunt mushrooms, from what my understanding is.
Yeah, didn't sound like he had internet service up there either. So
But he could have called us on his phone.
that's true. That's true.
Tell him about that.
Not with a mouth full of mushrooms.
When he gets back, we should all just show up at his house.
There we go. Do a Zoom meeting from there.
I'll bring the butter.
Yeah.
I'm showing 6 o'clock, and I think we've got all our commissioners here except for Commissioner Littman, correct?
I believe that's correct.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. The next item is to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
to
allegiance to
the
the flag
flag of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America,
and to the
and to
republic
the republic for which it
stands
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay, thank you all for that. Next item is our invocation, and I've asked Commissioner Wiki to do our invocation tonight. Commissioner Wiki, if you would, please.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for today. We choose to rejoice and be glad in it. Today we want to honor and thank you for all the brave men and women who fought for our freedom that we enjoy as citizens of the United States of America. Remember those who are currently serving, those who have served, and those who died protecting our freedom. As Armed Forces Day and Memorial Day approach, we pray that you would heap honor and blessings on those who've sacrificed so much. We also ask today, as a commission and city staff, that you would guide our conversations and give us wisdom to know how to proceed in the various topics that will come up today. We pray for unity amongst ourselves, and yet we see the value in our differences. Use us today to bring glory to you and to make decisions that will benefit the city of Sturgis. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Commissioner. Roll call, please, Mr. Rhodes.
Commissioner Burr,
Present.
Commissioner Klinger,
Present.
Commissioner Wiki,
Here.
Commissioner Malone,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Good,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Present.
Mayor Heil.
Yes. Thank you all for coming tonight, participating tonight. The next item on our agenda is proclamation presentations. I see none. We will move to the visitor section. Andrew, if there is anybody in our audience that would like to bring something to the commission, this is the time to do that. Would you see if there is somebody out there?
Yes, for anyone who is participating via our Zoom meeting, if you would use the raise hand feature to be recognized for public comment. If you're joining us via phone only, it is *9 to raise your hand. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. At this point, I will take the approval of our agenda. A motion to approve our agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve the agenda for Wednesday, May 12th, 2021 as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Good to approve the agenda. Do we have support?
I'll support.
I believe Commissioner Smith made the support. Roll call, please, Mr. Rhodes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger, yeah, okay, got it.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
and Mayor Heil.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. Now I will take the motion to approve our consent agenda, please.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve tonight's consent agenda for May the 12th, 2021 as presented.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Do we have support by Mr. Commissioner Good? Do we have support?
I'll support that. Commissioner Klinger.
Thank you, sir. We have support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
and Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. The next item would be unfinished business. We have none, so we'll move right down to the new business section. The first item on our agenda is the West Congress Street Sidewalk Public Hearing, presented by Barry Cox, and I will open up the public hearing. Barry?
Hi there. Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you okay.
All right. So before you this evening is a sidewalk repair special assessment district. We are presenting this to you in conjunction with the reconstruction of West Congress between South Centerville and South Clay over the next 2 years. We've gone out, we've reviewed sidewalk in this area and believe these need to be addressed as part of that assessment role. So there's a notice of special assessment, estimated special assessment that if approved would be recorded so that if a property changed hands between now and when the project is completed, that it would be picked up in a title search. Beyond that, I'd be willing to try to answer any questions any of the public may have or commissioners may have regarding this.
Okay, let's start with our commissioners first. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Barry on this agenda item? Vice Mayor Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How you doing, Barry?
Pretty good.
Good. Hey, just a quick question on that. I saw some of them that, looking at the map, they're pretty much equal in length, but the price is way different, the cost to the landowner. Is that because they're full reconstruct of the sidewalks versus like just repairs?
It might be helpful, Commissioner Mullen, if you could give me an example, but it's possible that that in a particular situation, maybe one is in a driveway, which is a thicker concrete. So we've estimated it at a higher cost. Beyond that, I'm not sure why there would be a significant difference in overall cost for two comparable frontages. And I apologize if I start breaking up, my network's saying that my bandwidth is low, so I may not be coming through very well.
Okay, thanks, Barry. Any other commissioners have any questions for Barry on this agenda item? Seeing no hands up at this point. Andrew, would you see if there is anybody in our audience tonight that has a comment on this for us, on this agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for those attending via the Zoom meeting, if you wish to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature, either in your browser or if you're dialing in with phone only, it would be *9 to raise your hand. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. And again, before I close the public hearing, I will ask the commissioners one more time if they have any questions for Barry on this agenda item.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I may?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Good.
Thank you. Barry, are we going to see a new sidewalk special assessment on this project as well, or only repair?
The entire length of Congress has sidewalk on both sides of the road in the area that we are attempting to reconstruct. So I do not expect to have a new sidewalk repair role associated with this project.
Okay, so
I do want to bring up that I only had one of the property owners on the strip here along Congress that asked me about this particular assessment role, and he was actually looking for us to potentially add a couple of sections of really bad walk on a side street, which I guess the City Commission could entertain whether or not we want to include it. I just don't know whether or not I can get the contractor to do it or not.
is that something that can happen after the fact?
Yeah, with the property owner's permission and approval, we can add additional frontage areas. And it would be my intent to try to do that because it is a significant issue for the particular area he pointed out.
Okay.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While you were talking, I was looking over this the other night, Barry, and I just looked at it again. And an example that I can give you is like 405 West Congress and 408 West Congress. They're right across the street from one another. Look to
Okay.
be pretty equal in distance, but there's like $1,000 difference in the two.
Well, I have, for 405, I have 98 feet of frontage. And for the other one, I have 48 feet of frontage, which is about half of the other one.
Okay. So 405, is that, it's showing it as being on the west side of the tracks. Does that extend further than that? I don't know, man. I'm looking at
Are you looking at,
numbers.
say that one more time, Commissioner?
The address that's 405, that would be the first property to the west of the railroad tracks on the north side.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so does that extend just from the tracks westward to 408, which is next?
9.
Oh, that's weird because it says 408, but it's oh, that's a William Street address. Never mind. Yeah, but it looks like they're equal. I don't know where it comes up with almost double the length of the 408.
So
I guess I don't know. Maybe
they're
they're not plotted right on the GIS.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the item is, and maybe it needs to be clarified, is this isn't the entire frontage of each of these parcels. So while they may look similar in length on the GIS, the areas where we have sidewalk that are in poor condition may not be the entirety of the frontage. It's just, we're just repairing what needs to be repaired to hopefully have that whole sidewalk in that entire area be functional.
Okay. It still looks weird that they're pretty equal, but you're saying that it was 90 versus 40 some odd feet, and it just looks odd. There's something that's just not right on the mapping then.
Okay, and you're comparing 405 West Congress and 408 West Congress?
Correct.
Okay, because 408 is across the street from 405, and I would
Right.
guess that the frontages of each of those lots would be comparable in length, because they basically are the two lots between where railroad used to be and where the railroad is. But there was less actual sidewalk that we were replacing at 408 than we were replacing at 405, or at least
Okay, so
proposing to replace.
it's just a matter of how much repair was in need on each of those.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Barry on this agenda item? Seeing none, what say the commission on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that the Sturgis City Commission approve a special assessment district number 2021-03 for the West Congress Street Sidewalk Repair Program as presented.
And I will close the public hearing and then take Vice Mayor's motion to approve. Do we have support?
Support, Commissioner Burr.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, please, Mr. Rhodes.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, sir. The next item on our agenda is the Sturgis Area Community Foundation Roundup Program. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Included in your packet is a letter requesting to partner with the city of Sturgis for a roundup program from the Sturgis Area Community Foundation. We provided some background information on roundup programs that I know you had a chance to review, but essentially how the program would work is that utility customers could, by their option, decide to round up their utility bill each month, and that would go into a fund at the foundation that would be used for projects in our utility customer service area. And I believe what the foundation is proposing is that we would work together on identifying and selecting what those projects would be. So I think it might be somewhat difficult to project how much that would be, but we did sort of take a shot at it, at least giving you a sense of what the possibilities are. So we have around 7,500 customer accounts. If you believe that half of those would round per month, and maybe about a third of those would opt to participate in the program, then approximately $1,000 a month would be generated. When we looked at this in the past, there was a little bit different request. It came specifically from arts organizations in the community. And one of the barriers was the cost to upgrade our billing software. So this time we kind of got an update of the quote, and it increased quite a bit to $6,106. But the foundation has suggested that they would pay that cost to enable the program to happen. I should mention that Lindsay Richardson, the executive director for the foundation, is here to answer any questions, and also city staff is available as well.
Hi, Lindsay. Would you like to comment on this? It's good to see you.
Hi, yeah, it's good to see you too. I don't have a lot to comment. I'll say, thank you for allowing us to present this idea. It's one that we've tossed around in the past as we've monitored other similar programs in the area. LaGrange County probably being one of the closest. They have something called Operation Roundup that their community foundation has run since 2002. But we really see this as an opportunity to, give residents a really simple, easy way to invest in bettering the community. The foundation and the city of Sturgis have been partners for decades, and we look forward to being partners for decades to come. So to us, this just made sense, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about what this might look like.
Okay. Commissioner Good has his hand raised. Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For Lindsay, a question. Would the foundation be planning on marketing this in some way so that our customers, our ratepayers can at least see what the whole deal is and what benefit they can provide by rounding up? And it sounds as if the cost to that individual that chooses to round up is not significant in any way, but it added together, it can be significant. So is it your plan to market this in some way?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. We feel that if this is approved, working together to come up with a marketing and communications plan to really make sure that this is well communicated and that the public understands that it's available, that it's optional, it would be really, really important. And of course, we'd be making sure that the marketing happened. That would be an expense that the community foundation would take on.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Mullins has his hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe a question for Mike, I'm guessing, but in there, you had mentioned that if the program is implemented, that you estimate half of the accounts would round up per month and 1/3 participation. So you're saying that some would take advantage of the roundup but not participate in this?
I'm saying is about half the accounts would round up, and the other half would round down. And of those that rounded up, if a third participated, it would be $1,000. If that makes sense.
Well, Mike, I think the way the program would end up working is it in essence does the same thing Mike's talking about. Everybody would round up, I believe, but it would average out to 50 cents a bill Because if this month you had 8 cents and another customer had 92 cents, you'd still only end up with an average of 50 cents over the two accounts. So any one particular customer, any one account at the maximum would pay $12 per year, 12 cents less than that, or but it would basically be about $6 an account, assuming again, your different amounts of change each month.
All right. I don't know how much of a pain I was to your staff, but whenever I was writing checks to you guys, I would just round up to the nearest dollar anyway, and then it would just come as a credit in my next bill. I don't know if that was problematic for you guys or not, but this will work out.
No, we actually certainly, if you're coming and paying cash, we love to do that and just not have to count out any change. It makes life easier.
Yeah, this would, if you opt in, no credit.
Yeah. Well, great idea, by the way. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Burr, your hand is
Yes.
raised.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I read about the alternatives from the project from past discussions. You had 4 alternatives. Are we looking at just to have a maybe a roundup for a grant to be named at a later date, or a public grant? I think that if you specify it, if someone doesn't particularly like what it's going for, or there again doesn't know that it's going for, if they think it's going to go for city infrastructure, I'm sure you'll get some resistance. If you said it was going to go for the splash pad, you might get more participation. But I know back then they had talked about using it for a grant dedicated for an arts agency. I hate to buttonhole it, but I think it should still be in the form of some type of grant for the community, and maybe leave it broad enough that we can pick and choose which ones that we need at the time.
I would agree with that. I think that I would agree that you would want to leave it broad enough that we could look and see what the greatest needs of the community or that of the service area are at that time, to make a selection. We did talk about, the possibilities of it sometimes tying it to specific projects like the splash pad, or if there was one big community initiative. I think that there are opportunities for that. I think some of that is probably still in discussion as we, wait to see if this is going to move forward. Mike, do you have anything to add to that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it's along the lines of what Commissioner Burr is suggesting. We would leave it broad. And then in some form or fashion, the foundation and the city are agreeing on the project. I suppose, the projects that are selected may not appeal to everyone. And then people can decide, whether they want to continue to participate or not, or, maybe it goes the other way, that people have confidence in the projects that are selected and decide to opt in.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Good, your hand is raised.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Early on in the presentation, it was mentioned, and again, Mike just mentioned it, that we are working in concert, both the city and the foundation. Once the monies are collected by the treasurer and then passed on to the foundation, then it becomes the foundation board of directors that have control over those funds. But I would expect that the foundation would say, okay, we have a grant, the Roundup grant is available at the end of the year, and come to the commission meeting and say, we've identified this project or these projects, and have input from the city commission at that time. Is that what I would think? Am I thinking right on that?
Yeah, absolutely. As part of our grant process, our board of trustees always have that final layer of approval. That's just the way that the foundation world works. But we have a lot of funds that are set up with advisory committees. And I think that that's what we would do, is we'd set up that advisory committee that would be making the recommendation of the grant to the trustees. who barring a major conflict or seeing something that, is just not up to par, which they would support.
So you would include a member of the commission on the advisory committee?
Sure. We could have, that would all, I think, be part of the discussion moving forward of what that would look like. But yeah, we could structure it.
Well, Commissioner Burr is retired and he's got plenty of time, and
yeah.
so your advisory committee might be well served. Okay, that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands from the commission, let's ask if there's anybody in our audience that might have a comment on this agenda item. Andrew?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. For anybody in the audience visiting us or participating via the Zoom meeting, if you want to use the raise hand feature to make public comment on this agenda item. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. And again, I will ask if there are any other more questions on this agenda item, either for Michael or Lindsay. Please raise your hand. I see none. What say the commission on this agenda item?
Your Honor, this is Commissioner Burr. I move that the Sturgis City Commission approve the Roundup program request from the Sturgis Area Community Foundation as presented.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Burr on this agenda item. Do we have support?
Support.
Commissioner Smith.
I have support by Commissioner Malone. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lippman, Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. The next item on our agenda is a cemetery historical tour. Tony Venice. There you are, Tony.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. At our last cemetery board meeting, we brought this up and they approved it for the commission to look over. And I'm just going to hand this over to Jennifer. I think she's there. There you are.
Yes. Hello, commissioners. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Jennifer Bluen-Policelli, the director at the Sturgis Historical Museum at the Depot. I hope in your packets you've seen the cemetery tour proposal we've come up with. I want to thank Tony the Sexton and also Commissioner Burr for their help as we prepared this proposal. I'll just go over some of the highlights. Basically, what we are proposing is a walking tour through Oak Lawn Cemetery that highlights the lives of 12 Sturgis residents who are buried there. Groups will be guided by volunteers from Sturgis Historical Society, and costumed actors from the Sturgis Civic Players will be portraying the deceased people and delivering first-person accounts of their lives. The theme for the tour is notable firsts in Sturgis history. We're proposing that these tours take place in the fall, one on Saturday, September 18th, and the next on Saturday, October 16th, from 4 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon. The reason why we want to do this is because Sturgis Historical Society is first and foremost concerned with history education in Sturgis, and Oak Lawn Cemetery is one of our most important historical resources. And so we want to take advantage of that. Oak Lawn has a wonderful physical landscape of the past where we believe our visitors can engage directly with the past, with the landscape of the graves. Also, we're a nonprofit organization, so we are always looking for ways to sustain ourselves, and we are hoping that this tour can become an annual thing that can generate income and awareness for our work of history education. We've taken a look at rules and regulations for this tour. Of course, we will respect the City of Sturgis Oak Lawn Cemetery rules and regulations that are located on your website. I've highlighted there on the page some of the more important ones that would be relevant to us. We will also direct all visitors to remain on the paved paths, remain in communication with the sexton so that we are not overlapping with any burials or other ceremonies. And we've scheduled our tours for later in the afternoon when burials aren't normally scheduled anyway. We have obtained an insurance policy with our insurance provider in the case of injury or damaged property. And you can also see there in your packet the tour route that we have proposed. You'll note a large distance between Clarence Jesse's grave out there in the, let's see, that would be the southeast corner, and the other graves. And in that space, we are proposing that our tour guides tell our visitors a little bit about the history of Oak Lawn Cemetery itself. So that will add some interesting flavor to the tour. And on the logistics and details page, we have a series of requests that we are hoping you will approve. Number one, parking. We are planning to direct our visitors to park along Magnolia Street and also in the lots at Oak Lawn Park and near the maintenance building at the cemetery itself. We're also requesting permission to set up an easy up tent for like a check-in station that Sturgis Historical Society volunteers will staff. I've marked the location we would like to put this on the map under the tour route. And this is in kind of the grassy section near the sidewalks. There are no graves there. We would not be disturbing any grave sites. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing the screen there. We are also requesting that for our visitors with disabilities, that we can make use of a couple of golf carts just to make our tours inclusive for everybody. We're also requesting restroom access. I've spoken with Tony about this. Initially, we had requested restroom access in the office at the center of the cemetery, but we've since worked out that it would be easier to use the break area in the work barn. And there's like a back entrance, I guess, that we can use so that we wouldn't have to walk through the shop and have a safety issue there. We are also requesting the ability to set up chairs at the grave sites for our actors. Since they will be out there for about 3 hours, that's a long time to ask people to stand up, especially in September. That late afternoon sun might be a little bit hot for them. So that's something we are willing to do, to set up the chairs, to be clear there. And then on the last page, I provided a sample script. One of the people that we are going to be highlighting is Thomas Collins, who was the first mayor of Sturgis, which I think is very fitting, given that in 2021, we're celebrating 125 years of the city of Sturgis. That is the gist of our proposal, and I would open it up to questions at this time.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions for Jennifer from the commission on this agenda item? Seeing none, let's see if there's any questions from our audience. Andrew?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, once again, for those attending via the Zoom meeting, if you wish to use the raise hand feature to make public comment. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Again, one more time, is there any commissioner that has a question on this agenda item? I see none. What say the commissioner on this item?
I would like to move that the Sturgis City Commission approve the Sturgis Historical Museum plan as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Smith to approve. Do we have support?
Commissioner Good will support.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion to approve and support. Ken, Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman, Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone, we might have
Looks
lost.
like we
Commissioner
lost
Malone.
Commissioner Malone.
Okay, Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
and Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Jennifer, I look forward to doing this tour. It sounds like it's going to be a good thing to have here. I look
I hope
forward
so.
to that.
Commissioner Malone, are you voting yay for this? Okay, great.
Okay, so we got a full
With
approval.
my technology.
All righty, thank you all. Next item on our agenda, again, we're staying in the cemetery here. Cemetery rules amendment for development and rates. Tony, you're up again.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Yes, also at the April 27th Parks and Cemetery Board meeting, We presented information about opening a new area of lots in Oaklawn Cemetery, Block ZZ. Thought that was fitting since it's going to be the last probably area we're going to open up in the cemetery. I think a map was included. Thank you, Andrew. In your packets, it's going to be between the most northern entrance near Double T Block and the new entrance where we put the new Oaklawn Cemetery sign in. As you can see, it's quite a large area. We're going to have roughly 150 double lots in that area. So 300 single lots, if you want to put it that way. And really, it's really the last large area we can really do in the cemetery. And also we added that to the cemetery rules and regulations and the cemetery rates, and that should have been included in your packet also. It'd be section 2-8 in your cemetery rules, and sort of at the bottom with an asterisk in the cemetery rates. And for the rates, that includes a foundation ribbon that we're going to be putting across basically Monument Row, where that will actually be included in buying the lot. So if you are a city resident, if you buy one single lot, it will include the cemetery or the foundation ribbon of basically a 2-foot by 4-foot foundation for a headstone. And if you're a non-city resident, it will be $1,281. And if you want 2 lots, that just will be doubled. So if anyone has any questions for me, please fire away.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Any commissioners have it? I have several of them that have questions for you. Commissioner Burr.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, Tony, you said that the ribbon was going to be a 2-foot by 4-foot.
Correct.
Why wouldn't you make that an 8-foot to cover the complete lot?
Well, it's going to be basically run across the entire thing. If you just want to buy one lot, it will be sectioned off in a 4-foot section. If you want a double lot, it'll be 8 feet long. If you want to buy 10 lots, it's going to be 80 feet long.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at the doubles right offhand, so we could have a continuous ribbon and not have that mowing in between. One other question I had, which maybe the other commissioners don't know the reason behind this, but you don't plan on allowing anything else on that lot, like in the foot marker row, flush, or otherwise?
As of right now, no. I guess we should have added that. Didn't think about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Basically, as of right now, anywhere else in the cemetery, we can put a foot marker either above ground, a small bevel or pillow block, or a basically a grass level marker. I know we've been talking about that for Memorial Gardens, but yeah, we should probably add that later on down the road once I do get that developed, to basically, if you want to have 6 cremains put on one lot, all 6 of those will have to be able to be put on the headstone.
And one other question, are you going to maintain the rule where headstones can't be more than 54 inches unless, of course, you are dealing with Lagrange monument?
Correct. Yeah, those rules will still be in place.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Private joke.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burr. Commissioner Good.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, that zone ZZ is going to be right along the sidewalk in Nottawa Street there.
Correct.
And is there going to be a little bit of a setback along the sidewalk? The stones aren't going to be right up to the sidewalk, are they?
No, they will be set back at least 12 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're not going to have any stones or any foundation right up next to the sidewalk.
Yeah, I was just afraid it might look a little cluttered, you know, along the street there, especially near the new entrance archway that we have there. I wouldn't want to detract from that with a whole lot of headstones along the sidewalk there, but.
Yeah, they will be.
Yeah,
They will be quite a ways back from the sidewalk, so we
Okay.
shouldn't have to worry about that.
all right. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Barry, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tony, real quick question for you. There is obviously a water supply line that runs north and south into ZZ.
Yes.
How are you kind of setting it up for headstones to not be in the way?
Yes.
I mean, I would be concerned a little bit about excavations and getting into that water line. So that was, I just want to bring it up to your attention.
Yep, it's running right through there. I plan on putting in some basically, I guess, pardon the pun, dead sections through there that won't have any burials or any headstones or anything like that. So we'll be able to avoid that.
There are dead sections in a cemetery that don't include dead people.
There's a few.
Interesting.
All right, thanks, Barry. Any other questions for Tony from the commission? See no hands. Well, let's ask if there's anybody in our audience that has questions. Andrew?
Once again, for those joining us via the Zoom meeting, if you wish to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature at this time. We'll recognize you. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Again, one last time, any questions from the commissioner on this item? Seeing none, what say the commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Sturgis City Commission approve the development of Block ZZ and Oaklawn Cemetery and approve an amendment to the cemetery rules and regulations adding section 2-8 and approve the proposed cemetery rates as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Klinger to approve this agenda item. Do we have support?
Support, Commissioner Burr.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion to approve and support. Roll call, please. Mr. Rhodes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
All right.
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah,
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Lippman, Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. Next item on our agenda is a task order for North Franks Roundabout, Barry. Oh, Barry's on the phone.
Sorry, but did you need something there?
Yes, we're on our next item, which is the task order for North Franks Roundabout. You're up, sir.
Sure we are. Sorry, I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I'm just kind of waiting. And so thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners. So tonight before you, I have a task order for design for the North Franks Roundabout Highway Safety Improvement Program grant that the city received from MDOT for $472,000. The design is meant to be a single lane roundabout with sidewalks and street lighting, intersection lighting, as it were. Those are both part of the proposal to improve the safety of the intersection overall. Construction currently is estimated at $590,140. And this is programmed for a capital improvement budget in next year's budget, fiscal 21-22, at $325,000. The reason we're bringing it to you kind of, I guess, a little earlier than we would have expected to is because MDOT grant projects have got a little bit more complicated. As I'll give you for instance, or an example, Vinewood Congress project, we anticipated having out for bid about 2.5 months ago. And it just got letted for bidding this week. So with that, the task order for the design phase, preliminary design, final design, and bidding document or bidding phase engineering services for the project is $112,300. This would require a budget amendment, which I believe Holly's going to discuss a little later. Basically, it would be shifting monies that we originally had programmed for next year into this year to at least to start this process. In addition to the construction on the surface for the intersection, we have to look at evaluating utility extensions through the intersection. We certainly don't want to come back through and tear it up at a later date. And that honestly was not heavily thought about prior to the submission of the grant. And the grant is only for road-related road-related costs. It is not for water-related costs or sanitary-related costs. But those costs are part of this design task order to get those designed so that we can get beyond that intersection for future expansions, extensions, and so forth. Once we do get this project completed, engineering costs will be distributed to each of the utility funds according to those costs incurred. There's not a example, however, you do have a draft layout. If Andrew could put that up, that doesn't really show the utilities, but we're going to talk about how water main is going to get through this intersection. And so before I talk about water main, I just want to make it clear, this is not the size that is intended for this roundabout. This is very large. It's a prototypical just size that they put into this overlay. So we intend to make this smaller to the degree we can. Obviously, we've got to get school buses through there and semis as well. However, so that's the roundabout, generally speaking. Water main is we're intending as part of this design task order to bring it from south of the railroad tracks, 12-inch main up North Franks into the intersection, and then basically go east, to the west, and to the north, because we have right of way for the future going all the way up to Whit Lake Road. And so eventually we'll probably will go that way. That's the primary thrust of the design for the water main. We would be providing a service available for the Spence Fields softball complex, as well as potentially some locations on the west side, even though right now that's farmland. Excuse me. Part of that task order 98 includes a separate work item, which is to potentially design and build an additional 1,400 feet of 12-inch water main back to the west to connect it into the middle school's water main that was brought up in 2001 to serve them. And the reason it's in there is because if we may have issues getting permitting through Eagle for the water main with having multiple dead ends if we don't have that loop connected. So we've included that as an item that if we need it, we have the design capabilities within the task order to be able to build that out. If we don't need it to get the permit, we would prefer not to have to build that much water main right now. We don't have it programmed. We don't have it capitalized at this point. However, we may need to be able to accomplish this. So that's why it's there. Lastly, we're looking at extending sanitary sewer, again, from south of the railroad tracks, north along Franks. Not exactly sure relation-wise in the corridor where it's going to go, but we're going to bring it up at least to serve the softball field complex, as well as the west side of North Franks Avenue. We will be looking at whether or not it's more viable or more appropriate to bring that sanitary sewer line up through the intersection and extend it in a similar manner to the water main, going to the east, potentially going to the west, and potentially going to the north. The reason I say we're gonna look at is because there's a larger sanitary main back over to the west that was brought up for the middle school that might better serve at some point in the future further to the east. It might allow us to have a larger service area as opposed to the smaller line that's in Franks Avenue. So that's something that we're going to evaluate as well. The project is likely, even with a reduced size of the roundabout, to require property purchase and or permanent easements to construct. Project will also require an environmental review, which takes time as well, and specialists to complete them to follow the federal requirements. We also have the programming application process, grade inspection meeting, and the MDOT local agency program bidding process. These all add time and complexity, and is another reason why we're presenting it to you now, so that we can get this hopefully designed and into next year's construction, fiscal year 2022's construction timeframe. The intent for the actual construction of the project would be to have separate bid packages for the utilities from the actual road construction, so that we would have a contract that would be just maybe to be two separate contractors that would do this work. One would do the utilities, and then once the utilities were done, the MDOT contractor would come in and actually do the road. This is going to be hopefully beneficial from the
We lost Barry.
how we get that accomplished.
There he goes.
So with that, I guess I'll try to answer any questions you have, Mayor.
Okay, we have a raised hand here by Commissioner Wiki.
I don't know if this one's for Barry or Mike or who, but when we are looking into the purchase of land or easements, I'm thinking purchase of land, specifically on the west side, whether on the southwest or northwest, to add parking lot for the softball complex. I'm wondering if that's maybe part of the thinking there. I think this would be, if any time, be a great time to do it.
Well, if we were going to acquire other property, and Barry can chime in his opinion, but I don't think we would want to acquire it as part of the safety grant project, because we would have to meet all their requirements for the acquisition. So maybe it's something we would consider concurrently, just not as part of the actual grant project.
Commissioner, excuse me. I would agree with Mike in that general synopsis of things. The intent with this project is to potentially purchase property from either the school district or on the northwest corner or the northeast corner. Again, we're trying to minimize this. We have to hire a commercial appraiser to come in and evaluate the property. And it is an extensive process with MDOT. So I would definitely want to keep anything that's not road related in a separate area dealt with independently of any easements, or, well, easements are even considered, for that matter, property purchase. So the goal would probably be to have it on the southwest corner at most in an easement there, as opposed to full property purchase overall. And the intent is to not really touch the softball complex at all. There's two entities on this project that create extensive public notice and public communications and public hearings, and that's the school property on the north side, as well as the softball field as a recreational property. And so there will be public hearings or public notice that we have to provide as part of this project going forward. Anyway.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Burr, you're next.
Thank you, Your Honor. Either from Mike or Barry. 590,000 is for the road portion. Do we have like a estimate for the total cost with all the electrical, water, sewer, land acquisition? Do you have a ballpark figure in mind, considering it's next to the ballpark, no pun intended?
The lighting portion is part of the estimate, part of the design construction estimate. As far as water and sanitary, don't have anything available to me right now, and I don't think we may have something, and maybe Holly, if I've given it to her, I hope I have, might be able to track something down on that. But I really don't have a number right now, Commissioner Burr.
Are there any plans to put in a storm sewer system in there? The storm drain?
I don't know where it would go. We don't have anything to connect to.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Barry, we probably would do sort of some sort of ditching storm system, right?
Oh, for on Frank's itself?
Yeah.
We currently have at the north end of the parking lot, close to the intersection right now, we have a pair of catch basins, and those catch basins actually drain into the softball complex's retention area. But they're basically leaching basins with an overflow availability to the softball complex. And then closer to the substation, we have another pair of leaching basins there. So we kind of have design addressed at least down to the substation. We may have to do some more drainage closer to obviously towards the railroad tracks area, because that is the low area.
The utilities, I think, are really more related to the extension of North Franks. I think what's driving the utilities as part of this task order is we want to address utilities in that plan before we build the intersection, because we don't want to go back and tear it up.
Right. So do we have well, maybe Holly will have a figure when we get to the budget.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, we may have an old number, but I think part of this task order is to look at that, because they're going to be looking at a couple of options, for sewer and water to, I think, better come up with what those utility costs would be.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Mullins.
Thank you again, Your Honor. Just a question for Barry, I guess. You talked about in here that the water, I guess the water main and I think sanitary, you said those are starting at south of the railroad tracks and extending north to the intersection there, the roundabout. I know this is just design stages, but with the railroad and that kind of thing, are there hurdles we're going to have to jump over to get that done with the tracks there, since we haven't acquired anything or done anything with them yet?
Want to take that, Mike, or you want me to try to address it?
Well, in a traditional sense, we would have to get a permit and we'd have to pay for utility crossings. So we're trying to work on a little bit of a different arrangement where the railroad would remove the steel. And so I don't think it would be treated like a regular crossing. What we don't know is, what that looks like in terms of, some sort of agreement for utilities crossing the property. So that's part of what we're working on now, with kind of a side agreement to our existing railroad crossing agreements.
So you're saying that the cost would be less if they remove the rail or the agreement?
I don't know if it would be less. I think it would be treated different. Well, our argument is that it would be treated differently because it's not a traditional road crossing, street crossing. But that's an open issue right now.
Okay, we don't anticipate getting that agreement then.
We don't anticipate getting the agreement.
I mean, you don't anticipate having problems getting the agreement, I should say.
I feel like we're moving in the right direction in terms of having an agreement. How we will treat the utilities is an open question. I mean, I think the default is that we have an agreement that would allow utilities as part of a crossing, and we would have to go through the traditional process. And it's, you know, it's time, takes time, and you have, you know, these permanent costs of paying, you know, essentially a lease for those utilities. And we do that at probably almost all of our crossings.
Okay,
Yeah.
and one other thing to address what Commissioner Burr was talking about, I think with costs and that kind of thing, this whole task order will include the bidding phase, so we should have a pretty good idea at the end of this what it's going to cost for the project.
Yes.
Or if he was referring to the
Yeah.
street extension, I'm not sure which, but thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The way I see this, we have three different items in front of us which we're discussing. One is utilities. One is extension of North Franks as it relates to the railroad. But in order to stay on task, no pun intended, our discussion tonight is with regard to task order 98, and that is the design of the roundabout itself. And I'm so thrilled to see that the state of Michigan and MDOT has followed the reduction of rules and regulations in order to promote development within the state, and has made it so much simpler for us to do these things that we have to start 2 years in advance. The real thing is, though, that tonight we're addressing the task order with Fleiss and Vanderbrink in the design phase of the roundabout, during which time they're going to deal with the placement of utilities within the roundabout, but not necessarily as any part of the extension of North Franks to Lafayette, which is something that'll be coming to us, well, maybe to you guys. I'll be out of here by then, but it'll be coming to you in 2023. So, you know, I think we have to stay on task and just look at this task order as it's presented to us tonight without a tremendous amount of discussion about the utilities and the street extension. So if I may, Mr. Mayor.
John, before you make a motion, I've got two other hands up.
Oh, okay.
Just hold on a second here.
We can discuss after the motion's made. Oh.
Let's go through, let's see what Mr. Smith has to add to this discussion.
Well, it seems to me this is turning into being a giant time and money suck. Is there any way we can just stop this whole process and cut our losses now before we end up investing a whole bunch more money in a roundabout that most everybody's going to hate anyway? And it's just giving the city a back road that they can use to, or not the city, the schools, a back road that they can use to run between the middle school and the high school. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Holly's hand is also raised. Holly?
No, I was just going to add that there are items in the draft capital plan that was presented at the last budget meeting. So there, you know, between for the North Franks extension part of the project, there's roughly $1 million on the capital plan over between 2024 and 2022. We have an estimate, older estimate it's a pre-design estimate. So like Barry said, I mean, it's a rough pre-design estimate. It's about 1.2 from 2019. It clearly needs to be updated. So I just wanted to point that out. But we do have numbers, but we know that we need to get better estimates, and the best way to get a better estimate is through the process of design. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
Yeah.
Before I ask Mr. Good to make a motion here, Andrew, do we have anybody in our audience that would like to make a comment on this agenda item?
Sure. For those attending via the Zoom meeting, if you wish to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Again, any other questions on this item from the commission? If not, if Mr. Good would like to make his motion, I will take it at this time.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I'd move the Sturgis City Commission approve task order number 98 with Fleiss and Vanderbrink Engineering Inc. in the amount of $112,300 for the design of street and utility improvements, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract on behalf of the city.
Okay, a motion to approve this agenda item, and Commissioner Klinger has supported it, correct?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Malone.
She's
Okay.
she's nodding her head.
Nodded yes.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Mullins.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki.
Yes.
Commissioner Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Lippman. Commissioner Klinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
No.
Commissioner Burr.
Yes.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all for this discussion on this item. The next item on our agenda is the Spence Storage Building bids. Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, commissioners. Bringing to you for your consideration tonight the approval of bid for construction of a storage building at the Spence Complex. As part of the original building plan, as part of the original complex plan, the storage building was included, but was ultimately removed as a cost-saving measure to the original project. And it's been determined that building is needed for storage of equipment and supplies for the complex. City staff's original intent was to use the local building trades class. At the time, the building trades class was starting up again, and we thought it would be a good project, and had some discussions with the instructor. But due to class constraints, the project was delayed. And now you know that the building trades class is working with the Sturgis neighborhood program to construct a new home, eliminating the opportunity. So our original budget for this project only included the material and supplies. The labor would have come from the building trades at no cost to the city. Due to the building trades schedule and the need for the storage building, staff determined that we would bid out the project to general contractors. We advertised it for the first time in August of last year, 2020. At that time, we received two bids, both at nearly twice the amount budgeted. That was due to the fact that general contractor costs included with the construction, as well as building materials, have been greatly inflated since the pandemic. Also, both suppliers or both contractors noted at that time they could not guarantee pricing on materials for more than a couple of days due to the fluctuation in the price of materials. So we basically punted at that point and said we're going to hold off and try and rebid the project again this year. We did rebid this spring in hopes that materials would stabilize. We did rebid again this spring. We received four bids in the last effort, ranging from $53,200 to $89,396. Staff would recommend Brussie Brady for the project in the amount of $53,200. As well as a quote, we did receive a quote from Prime Quality Electric for the installation of electric service for the building. in the amount of $4,580.03. Copies of the bid tab were included in your packet. During final review of the project, city staff made some changes to the site location. The original plan was to place the building on the north edge of the gravel pad in front of the substation. That was basically kind of a more of a cost saving measure. There wouldn't be any site work involved by placing the pad there. And that was kind of the original intent to keep costs down when if we were to have the high school building trades perform that construction. There was, however, I guess prior to the last commission meeting, there was some concern as well from the electric department about that site location. And it was determined that we needed to kind of reevaluate that. With all the staff involved, we went out and made the determination to slide the site location slightly to the north, and almost actually originally where it was drawn on the plans at the original concept for the complex. So just north, which it's going to include, we're going to have to include some site work for that and an asphalt drive for the building. Talking with DPS Supervisor Rick Miller, he was confident that the DPS could provide that site work at a cost of not more than $10,000. We're considering that probably even more than we need. And we did receive an estimate for the asphalt drive from XL Paving for $2,500. One of the things, and I was not even aware of this at the time until Barry did some stormwater research for us on the project. The picture that Andrew just had there, there was a future parking also included in the original stormwater calculation. So as you can see there, that would be the building location in green, and then the future potential parking. I think it was 26 or 28 spaces total in that area. That being said, total project cost, including construction, electrical work, site work, and paving, would be $70,280.03. As mentioned earlier, the original project budget was $25,000 based on pre-COVID material costs, and labor being the building trades class. Due to the additional cost of hiring general contractor material cost, the electrical work and site work and paving, staff is requesting a budget amendment for this project as well. The proposed would increase the general fund expenditures from $25,000 to $72,500, an increase of $47,500. We don't see any additional cost. That $72,500 would allow for a small contingency on the project as well. And the city controller will address the budget amendment as well. Any questions?
Okay, any questions for Dan? I have a couple. Dan, how big is this building going to be?
Originally, the plan called for a 24 by 32. Knowing the use of this structure, we upped that size just a little bit to a 32 by 40.
Okay, and what's going to be stored in that building?
So Parks is going to use that building to store a trailer that we're currently keeping our equipment in. As you remember, we purchased some new equipment specifically to maintain the ball fields. So that trailer, as well as some of the equipment, the grounds supplies and things that they use, the chalk and the paint and different things like that, and some of the supplies that we use at the complex.
Okay. Okay. Any other Commissioner Burke?
Yes, thank you, Hunter. So this trailer to carry the equipment, you mean the trailer that carries the machine that does the dragging and leveling out there on the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
How big is that trailer? 6 foot?
It's a 16-foot trailer. It's a
Well, I know
enclosed
there's a
trailer.
16-foot trailer, but you don't need a 16-foot trailer to haul a 6-foot long piece of equipment.
I think they do also house the rakes and other equipment inside that trailer and the attachments for the. Tony, you
Tony's
wanna
raising his
speak to
hand.
that?
I think he's got a comment for us.
Yeah, we store actually the ABI in there, all the attachments to it, and the rakes, string, chalk, you name it in there when we do go to either Spence or Wall Field.
Right, I'm well aware of what you need to take care of the fields. I know right now the chalk and the rakes and that equipment is in the unisex bathroom right now at the ball field, taking space up there. I think 32 by 40 is overkill. I don't understand why you need 2 doors for a small trailer. There again, is this your enclosed trailer? Is that the one you're talking about using?
Yes.
So why would you use that large trailer just to haul that short piece of equipment? Why wouldn't you use the same trailer where you used to haul the say the lawnmower that we used to use to drag the fields with?
It doesn't fit on that. It's too wide.
It's too wide. Okay. You've got another trailer, don't you, at the DPS that you haven't used for a while? Don't you have 2 short trailers?
We do. It's not big enough either.
Okay, so what would be a cost to buy a trailer that would fit? That would fit on what you need, like an 8-foot wide?
But we already have a trailer that it does house everything in it. We're just trying to consolidate everything out there so we don't have to on tournament weekends have to basically tow the trailer back and forth from either the cemetery barn where we would be storing it for the weekend, and we can get the pallet of chalk and the pallet of field dry out of the cemetery barn so we can actually store everything over there.
But you don't need to store the trailer inside of the barn. You just have to drop off the equipment.
I mean, we could actually store it in there. It'd be more secure rather than having another enclosed trailer stolen.
Well, the thing is that it being out in outside of the city, I'm pretty sure it will be broken into, as most buildings are that are outside of the city. I still think that it's excessive to spend that much money just to store some one piece of equipment and some rakes, shovels, and some chalk. I have looked at other ball fields and seen their storage sheds, and they are more of the size of 14 by 30 foot. Another issue I have was with why do we have to run a 240 volt service into the building? Why do we need 10 GFI protected receptacles? We're not going to have a welder in there, are we? Or we're not going to be doing a lot of work that needs a lot of equipment plugged in. It just seems like an overkill for just a storage unit that, well, basically it's just a storage unit that we're not going to heat nor cool.
I think that the part of the electrical piece was more just a general number of outlets or receptacles. I think that the installation of garage door operators is always a good piece of security to have for the building. Also, to the part of the size is that I know, and I can't speak completely for Mike Liston, but I know that is some future consideration for additional fence that would be, so we can reduce the size of the fields for Little League Baseball or Little League Softball. They have fence requirements, and we've looked into the potential of installing some other. It's a temporary fence option, but we would need a place to store that as well. It stores basically in like 55-gallon drums, if you will, rolls up, but we would need a secure place to keep that as well.
Well, a secure place to keep it would be inside of the ball field itself. You got plenty of room between fences, between the ball fields. You've got 60 feet on the north and south side, 60 feet wide, and you've got 40 feet wide on the east side that you could put in a building. It would be secured by fencing. It would be closer to all the fields. You wouldn't have to carry it that far. I just think that this is overkill. Basically, it's $72,000 as opposed to there again. I've been looking. They send me a shopper's guide, and if you've ever seen the packages for metal storage buildings in there, you can get them for about $20,000. There again, I understand that we don't have a building trades that can put it together. Maybe we should look at some Amish builders to come in if we can't get any builders in the city of Sturgis who want to bid on projects. If they don't have insurance, maybe we can pay for their insurance. I'm sure they could get something like that built in a couple days. But I just think $72,000 is way too much just for a storage shed. And that's my opinion, and that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner Burr. Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the 12-foot height. Why do you need something either that tall or that short?
The 12-foot wall height was so we could do a 10-foot overhead door. Again, that would be to be able to pull the trailer in safely and have clearance for the trailer.
Put the door in the gable, and you should have that.
You still got to have room for your turn on your overhead door. You have to have some clearance up between the top of the door and the ceiling height.
Yeah, you can whop your trusses up right there at the door.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Whop is not a technical term, but
well, you need it. Yeah, you need 18 inches. I think you need 18. I don't know. For a 10-foot door, I'm not even positive what you need for a radius. I know they make some short turn radius garage doors, but we went with 12 because we were going with the 10-foot door.
Yeah, Dad had a 12-foot pole barn that we used. Other than the corn picker, it was just a whole bunch of wasted space. And yet it still wasn't tall enough to put a loft in if we wanted to do anything like that. So just curious. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we're making a little more of this than perhaps we need to. Commissioner Burr brings up the potential for a metal building for 20 grand or whatever, but we have to think of the future, and Dan spoke to that when Mike Wilson or Mike Liston, excuse me, talked about being able to alter the field size, etc. I've learned in my particular instance that no matter which building you put up, it's not big enough 3 or 4 years later because you've acquired more stuff. But anyway, I think the city should have a good-looking building that's safe, that accommodates the Parks and Recreation Department, and that will serve into the future for a number of years. And this particular project, we put it off at the beginning because we're doing some cost cutting at the beginning, and now we're arguing about whether or not 72,000 is too much or not enough. I just think that Dan has done a good job of finding bidders and individuals both locally and outside the city that will provide us with a good, strong building and an adequate building for our needs. So I don't see the issue about overkill. I think that I think we're doing it the right way as opposed to the wrong way. That's my opinion, and I'll stick with it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I yield.
Good. Thank you. Dan, a couple more questions for you, and then I got Commissioner Vice Mayor Mullins. Have you got any information on, is it Brucey and Brady? Am I saying that right? What is
Brucey Brady, yeah, Brucey Brady.
Are they good contractors? Have you seen any of their work?
Yeah, they've done several projects locally. I was sort of involved when they did some work for the schools at the community pool. They did the locker room additions and expansions at the community pool. That's been prior to my time here. But they have completed projects for the city as well. Just recently at wastewater, they were working on some projects for Tom out there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're reputable.
All right. And when will this project, if approved, when will this project take place, or when will you start it?
Well, as soon as we can, I guess, as soon as we can squeeze the schedule. We would like to have the project completed as soon as possible, definitely before the end of the budget year, but it's going to kind of depend on their schedule.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess, first of all, I see a lot of validity in the concerns that Commissioner Burr has, because I have some of the same. Right now we're talking about, we store everything that we use for out there basically on a regular basis in a 16-foot trailer, but yet we need 40 by 32 foot to store it in a building. Just seems like it's quite a bit of overkill as well. The location as well. I know that when it was taken off of the agenda before because of the location, I thought that there might be more consideration for totally other spots on the property. And I too got on and measured on GIS the distance between those fields in there, and I got 50 some odd feet on the north-south lanes there. And I thought to myself that it'd probably be very beneficial to have our building inside the fenced-in area anyway, near the outfield where it's not visibly, where it's not interfering with the visibility of the games by spectators and that kind of thing. And maybe if we're worried about having balls hitting on the roof or whatever, have a net over it kind of thing. But I just don't know about the number one, the size of the building being as big as it's going to be. Number two, the location. And number three, in the building itself, we're talking about two 12-foot wide overhead doors, I believe. Is that what I'm seeing on the drawings? One in the front, one in the back. Is there I guess, what's the purpose for two overhead doors for a couple for, it sounds like just one piece of equipment, because we're not going to be storing mowers out there. Am I correct in that?
Tony can speak to that.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Tony.
No, we won't be storing mowers out there. I mean, the two overhead doors are basically so we can pull through, drop the trailer and be able to pull out. And also, it's hard to get vehicles and equipment in through those gates on any side, especially, I mean, it's tough. We can get them in through the north side entrance that we were talking about. But it would be more manageable to have it on the outside to be able to get our vehicles in, because during a tournament weekend, we're not going to be able to pull vehicles in through that north side gate. Having it on the outside, out of the way, is more beneficial to us while we are actually working the tournaments. So if that answers any of your questions, Commissioner or Vice Mayor, excuse me.
Sure. Other than just the pure size, and I guess, if we're talking about, needing it for future expansion is, these portable fences, I understand that there's, they need to roll up and go somewhere. And I think Commissioner Burr's point was pretty valid too, that they could be stored on the fields themselves somewhere, somewhere inside of the fenced in area, not on the fields, but inside the fenced in area, I guess. But being out of the weather and whatever, there's probably advantages to that as well. But wintertime would be the biggest factor in that, I would believe. But I just feel that it's a awful large building. The location too is really getting with me a little because of the fact that we're talking about maybe expanding parking. And if we didn't have the building there, we might be able to get more than 26 or 28 spots. And Commissioner Wicke was bringing up the suggestion of purchasing property across the street from the Franks extension in the future for more parking. And it just seems like it'd help out in a whole lot of ways. So I just didn't know if there was any room for more thought on that specific location and using the real estate that's already there between the fields and still making it manageable for the needs of the crews and the size and location of the building itself. One thing I was going to ask, I guess the only thing I don't know is the piece of equipment that we bought, Tony, that drags the fields and whatnot. What is that called? What do you call that?
Oh, it's
that has all the
it's an ABI.
Yeah, I remember seeing that thing when you guys demonstrated. It was really cool. So my understanding is that's the only true piece of equipment that's going to be in the storage bin, the storage barn, and then you're wanting to put a trailer in there as well. And then besides that, rakes and chalk and those kind of things.
Yeah, we'll have that. We'll have rakes, chalk, field dry. It does have numerous attachments too to put on there. It's got a field plugger or to go underneath also. There's numerous things we'll be able to store in there just for taking care of the fields.
Sure. Yeah. I understand the trailer wanting to have it inside, that kind of thing. I think that it could be done in a building that's not as large too, but I don't know what kind of cost savings could there be, and maybe I'm not sure, maybe it's a question for DPS, but we're talking about having DPS do all this work for not more than $10,000, and then laying asphalt, which would have to be done by someone else, I'm guessing. And is that's part of the cost equation here?
Yeah, because of the revised location, we would need an asphalt drive. That's a city requirement. And because we're attaching, our drive would be connecting to the existing parking lot. So the city requires us to have an asphalt drive connected to the existing parking lot.
Oh, okay. So it's a requirement to have asphalt.
Yes.
And then is the asphalt, in the cost that we had in there, I saw the DPS, but I didn't see anything in an additional cost for the asphalt. Would that be done by another third party?
Yeah, we received an estimate from Excel Paving for $2,500.
Oh, okay. So that's already included in there then. That's the
yes.
25.
Yeah, that's all included in
party.
that grand total.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all about cost savings and that kind of thing. And it just, I know you've done a lot of work on this, Dan, and I appreciate it. Tony as well, with your input and whoever else. I just feel that there might be options to save a ton of money on this project if we had more time to do that.
I can answer the storage building would be on if we went to it was originally intended for the south side in between fields 3 and 4. So that would be the south side of the complex in between the east and west fields. There's what, 55 feet. I've actually got the drawing here.
Yeah, it's 50
there,
something.
but also on the original drawing, there was about 16 feet between the outfield fence and the berm. And when the complex was constructed, the outfield fence was placed on the berm. So there's no way to get a vehicle in or out of those gates from the south side.
Right. What about the north side?
And well, yes, you can get a vehicle through there, but then trying to maneuver between the now, and you can't see in this picture, but all of the bleachers that are located around the concession and restroom building, you can't get a vehicle through there anymore. I mean, not very well.
When you say a vehicle, are you talking about a street vehicle, or you're talking about the
Well,
mower?
even just a truck, truck, or I mean mower. Yeah, mowers you can get through there, sure. But if you wanted to bring in a pallet of material or whatever, it would be kind of difficult.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying that if it had, even the double access doors from both sides, and you accessed it from that north side, from the outside of the actual complex itself, from coming in from the north side, would that not be easy?
Oh, so place the building on the north side. I mean, I guess that there's potential for that. I know that the main electrical feed comes in underground right there as well for the facility. We've got a transformer.
Not only that, the septic field is there.
Yes, the drain
Part
field.
of the reason why we couldn't build on the north side in that space, there's a bunch of variables. So you have the electric, you have septic, and then that particular space, both on the north and the south side, is really the only place for teams to practice and throw when they're warming up. And that's what that space was actually intended to do.
I think you're pretty much out of the question if you're looking at anything over to the east or to the south, really, because of space, number one. But if you're trying to do anything from the outside, that is, if you could do everything from the inside, then it seems like it'd be easy. So,
yeah, I just don't think there's really, even though it seems like there's space there, there's really no good place to put it, as well as ability to access it. And certainly, I mean, Tony may drag the fields 2 or 3 times a day. Being able to get in there, I think, is problematic. I mean, part of what, the future is, and the reason why we have a trailer and everything is in the trailer is mobile. So if we could simply just store everything there and be done with it, it's fine, but we still have to maintain wall fields. And so if we're thinking about where to put the trailer, and as Tony suggested, you really don't want it inside the complex unless you could get it easily, because they may be maintaining other fields at the same time. So a crew comes in on a Saturday, they could be maintaining full wall field too. And I don't know that we want to put ourselves in a position that it's very difficult to move between fields. But that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but that's why you have everything in the trailer. So yes, you have equipment and there's more room, but he has all kinds of supplies and other tools that he's using to be able to maintain the fields. And even if we have a storage building for that, we still need to have the trailer set up so that we can go to wall field.
Yeah, in that case, yeah, I mean, we need to be able to get in and out easily enough, or yeah, just the ease of entrance. Having it inside would be very difficult on, like I said, a tournament weekend, because there's cars parked. I mean, even off of Lafayette, there will be cars parked along the road during a big tournament weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, yeah, so it might be difficult. Yeah, I mean, we could put signs up that says no parking, but I've seen how that works.
I know Commissioner Wiki has a comment or question. I have a few points I'd like to make as well.
Jeff, are you done?
yeah, I suppose so. I still think that the size probably is overkill myself, because we're basically storing everything in a 16-foot trailer, 128 square foot, 1,200 square foot, kind of that. But understanding the trailer needs to go in there too, I still think that we probably could have got away with something a little smaller, less expensive than what we're getting. But I will yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Wiki.
Not trying to belabor it. I feel like, one point is, if we're thinking cost savings, we also have to think of wasted time and having to drive all the way down to the cemetery barn each and every time they need to get something, and the load time when they could be right there on the north side of town, and then it's just right down Lafayette to get to Wall School. I feel like we can get a lot more work done, when they're on the clock. And I don't know, get more projects done as far as that goes. And then, Mike and Tony and Dan, they've been thinking about this a whole lot longer than we have. And I know they do their due diligence and planning for the future. I just feel like some projects we as commissioners probably should trust the staff on things like this. That's it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. So not only have Dan and Tony been involved, but Will Pritchard, Rick Miller, Josh Chakowski. I mean, it's really been a team approach. And admittedly, there are a lot of variables and issues, and even probably where we have it located is not ideal. And that's part of why we, I think, rethought where we would put it. But the other thing about the size and future, so as Commissioner Burr mentioned, I mean, we knew this when we built or put the concession stand together. If you look at an aerial on that site, it is very much shoehorned in. So that property was purchased a long time ago, and the intent was to put fields in. Since that time, the size of the fields have increased. And so we were trying to fit a 4-field complex in a very small area, which presented, its own challenges. I think the point that was made, I believe by Dan, is a pretty good one. We want this field to be used by a lot of different organizations and different types of softball, baseball, adult softball. So when we looked at building the complex, we knew that in order to really have Little League, you might, or even girls youth softball, you probably are going to have temporary fences to have sanctioned tournaments or leagues. The other thing is having portable mounds. We priced those out when we bid the project. We bid this project twice. The first time it came in was well over what we anticipated. We went back, really, right-sized the project, value engineered it, bid it out again. And things like the temporary pitcher's mound, the temporary fencing, we had eliminated that and said, we'll buy that stuff at some future date. Of course, we eliminated the original storage building, but that concession building has very little storage. And so, as Commissioner Burr said, we're actually storing some of the equipment, the raking equipment, in what's the unisex bathroom / umpire space. And so I fear that if we downsize the building, we're gonna regret it, because there's a lot of things beyond just the trailer and the equipment that we're gonna need. And I get the fact that we should be prudent and size it properly, but keep in mind, we're looking at a facility that we're planning on having tournaments every week from spring until summer. And part of our success is being able to accommodate everything and all the types of games, leagues, tournaments that we can. Another critical part of this, and why it is important and why we've been pushing for this, is the staffing of the complex. So we've tried to come up with a different system this year, because frankly, we were putting Tony and his full-time and part-time workers in a really bad spot. So they were, working every weekend, and we've tried to spread that out with staff. So part of the plan, and what's brought some urgency to having the equipment stored on site, is similar to what Commissioner Wiki is saying, but not only the efficiency of not being able to drive back and forth, but we're going to have staff out there that's going to be trained on using the dragging equipment beyond Tony's department, so that his people don't have to work, Tony himself and his workers aren't working every weekend. So that equipment is right there so that Mike Liston, as an example, is going to be trained. The new recreation coordinator is going to be trained so that we can spread out that, that burden of working every weekend to other staff. And that's a big piece on why we need to be able to have, that trailer stored out there. Those are all my comments.
Thank you, Michael. Any other comments on this agenda item from the commission? Commissioner Burr.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I have just one question to address Commissioner Wiki. As far as I understand, a lot of times commissioners don't know certain things and they rely on staff. However, I do have experience with doing the ball fields. We used to take and put the chalk in the back of the pickup truck and pull the trailer that held the small mower that would drag the fields and the nail drag that would also do that. Many times because of lack of people, I did it by myself. And so I am quite familiar with all the processes, the amount of storage you need. Like I say, when we loaded up for the day, 2 employees would take a truck load of chalk, which would probably be about 5 to 6 bags of chalk, maybe some repair items. It all fit in the back of a pickup truck back then. So when I am speaking of something that I know of, I just want you to be sure that if I say that, I have looked at other ball fields, I have been involved with ball fields, and so I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about, and I am sharing it with the commission. I don't just say no because they say no. There are reasons behind that. And so I just want Commissioner Wiki and other commissioners to know that I have been there, I've done that. I'm not saying they don't need a storage shed. I'm just saying they don't need one that big. And maybe it's a point where, since materials are so hard, I understand lumber is up 250%. I understand sheet metal's up. Maybe we should wait another year until it goes down. If you're looking at storage facilities in the near future, we will be expanding the Memorial Garden Cemetery. And part of that will be putting a new service building there. And there will be some extra room freed up in the other building. There's also the water tower for storage. So storage isn't really a critical problem, but there again, like I say, I'm not opposed to a storage building there. But as the vice mayor brought up, if you get it into a 16-foot trailer, I don't know why you need a 32 by 40 foot building. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Burr. Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Burr indicated he does have some experience with regard to the maintenance of the fields and the equipment needed and the space needed for that equipment. But one of the phrases he utilized was back then. Currently, the number of tournament players we'll have out there at the Spence Softball Complex, the number of games that'll take place, the number of weekends during which they'll occur are all going to be well in excess of back then. So I think that, as our manager indicated, we have to look to the future. We have to look to accommodation of the players, the participants, the audience, and I think that it would behoove us to do it better than cheaper. And so that's my opinion. I yield. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Good. Andrew, let's at this point see if there's anybody in the audience that may have a comment on this.
Those
Item
attending, Yep, for those attending via the Zoom meeting, if you wish to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature at this time. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Before I ask for a motion on this, do any of the other commissioners have any other comments on this item? Agenda item. Seeing no other hands, what say the commission?
Well, Mr. Mayor, in order to start the discussion, I'll make a motion that the Sturgis City Commission approve the bid from Bruthy Brady for the construction of the storage building at Spence Complex in the amount of $53,200 as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Good to approve. Do we have support of his motion?
Or Commissioner Wiki.
Thank you, sir. And support by Commissioner. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
No.
Commissioner Burr,
No.
Commissioner Klinger,
No.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
No.
and Mayor Heil.
I have said about listen to all this. I'm going to say no also. I think the building is in too excessive. No.
That's 3 yay votes, 5 nay votes. Motion does not carry. Motion defeated.
So it sounds like to me what we're asking Daniel to do is probably reevaluate the size of the building.
Yeah, is there any direction on what that might be? So, I guess I'd like some direction from the commission so that we don't bring another building that's too big back.
Okay. Well, I guess the question would be, what would be the minimum size we would need? I know this is going against what Commissioner Good had said, but what would be the smallest size we could get away with?
32 by 40. Oh.
I would think about a 14 by 30, might want to look at that for a starting point.
Any other
That's
suggestions?
my opinion.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks, Jeff. Any other suggestions on size? Dan, is this supposed to be a stick-built building? Or is this going to be a pole barn?
It's a pole barn.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
Commissioner Burr.
I'd say it's probably be at least big enough to back the trailer up into it. Wide enough for the doors, whether that be a 8-foot or 10-foot door. So it should be wide enough for that so that at least you can back up the equipment into it and have a little storage to store your tools and supplies such as chalk and repair material. So that being said, probably maybe 14, 16 foot wide by 30 foot, 30 to 35 foot long building would be my recommendation.
Okay, we have two sizes there for you, Dan.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll dig into it.
So you got something to work with. Okay, and again, I want to thank you and Tony and Mike and everybody else that was involved with this. I appreciate the work you're putting into it. I appreciate that. Moving on to our next item is item G. It's the budget amendment. Holly. You're muted, Holly.
I was trying to, thank you, Your Honor, City Commissioner. But I was trying to revise the memo because the memo that you have that has both amendments in there. So basically in your packet, you have a memo to amend the general fund and the street repair fund. We wouldn't be repairing or wouldn't be amending the general fund budget at this time for the barn. So it would just be the amendment for the design for the project design for North Franks. for Fund 201.
So basically, there's a single amendment for the design phase for the roundabout?
Correct.
So you would accept a motion to approve the budget amendments for fiscal years 2021 as amended?
Yeah, yes.
So
I was just
moved.
going to ask that question. Yeah. Okay, any other, Commissioner Mull, or excuse me, Vice Mayor Mullins has his hand raised.
Thank you again, Your Honor. Holly, just a quick question for you on this budget amendments page. Look back at the last meeting that we had, actually on March 24th. It wasn't the last meeting. We had a budget amendment there, and I'm looking at the general fund. The beginning fund balance at that time was 2.517, and now it's 3.079. And the same
That's
thing,
correct.
a street repair fund, it's different. Did I really miss something there?
Well, we covered that when we went over the state of the city at the budget workshop, but
Oh,
those are the final audited. Yeah, those are the final audited fund balance numbers.
Oh, okay. So that's where you have I saw you had updated.
And I can keep putting the estimated number there, but since I know what the actual final audited number beginning balance is, I thought I would put that in there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's nice. The general fund plus 586. Pretty
Yes.
decent.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Holly on the budget amendment? Just a single one. Budget is for it. Seeing no other hands go up, do we dare ask the public?
Very quickly, I would
Yeah.
just say if anybody's in the Zoom meeting wishing to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature at this time. I see none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no other comments or questions on this agenda item, what say the commission?
Mr. Mayor, I already moved that we approve a budget amendment as amended.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure whether you were asking a question or if that was a motion. Thank you, Commissioner Good. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the budget amendment. Do we have support?
Second.
And we have support by Vice Mayor Mullins. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. That concludes the new business section on our agenda for tonight. We are now to the commissioner and staff comments. I would like to start with staff. Tony is still with us. Tony, do you have any other comments?
There we go. No, I do not, Mayor. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Well, thank you for being with us tonight. And again, thank you for all the work you put in. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, you are with us. You have been quiet all night long. Ryan, do you have any comments? Public Safety Director.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dan, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Not tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan, again for the work you do on this. Barry, any comments?
I do not have any comments, Mayor. Thank you. Taking up too
All right,
much commission time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Holly?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
All righty. Mr. Rhodes?
Nothing tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. City Attorney, Roger?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you. I am back in town and looking forward to seeing everybody out and about.
All right. Michael? And I'll get to you next, Andrew.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of things. Just a reminder that on Friday, we have the spring car cruise in and eats. I believe at the auditorium, they're going to have start the summer concert series with Kevin B. Klein believe that starts at 7:30. And then I had sent an email out to the commission providing some information on a request from Life Care to waive a penalty as part of their contract. And just a reminder, if you do have any questions or requests for information, I plan to bring not only that request, but also the Life Care contract to you for consideration at the meeting on the 26th. So if you have any questions you want me to reach out and try to get from Life Care, please let me know. Also wanted to make sure we're good to go with fireworks for June 26th. That's our normal time. Even though Sturgis Fest was moved, that is what is slated for our fireworks this year. I did reach out to the health department just to make sure that it's an event that we could have, and I think there's a way to be able to do it similar to how we parked cars last year. But I just wanted, before we start our official fundraising, just to confirm with the commission that you don't have any objections and still want to move forward with fireworks.
Do we want to move forward with fireworks for this year? As Michael's a suggestion, give us a thumbs up or nod or whatever.
Well, I'd like to shoot off a rocket, but I can't, so.
It looks like you have approval, Michael.
Okay, good. And then I don't know if the commission plan to provide any direction on in-person meetings or continuing virtually. But if you do, I guess I need to know that. We're going to be setting some public hearings for projects too, and we need to sort of make a decision and kind of commit to that, because we won't in our schedule have time to change those notices.
Would the commission like to consider going back to face-to-face meetings?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll chime in right away.
Okay.
The first thing I'd like to do is ask whether or not the commission would like to declare the city of Sturgis a common sense sanctuary city, wherein our city believes in the utilization of common sense. I believe we can go back to in-person meetings utilizing that scenario. I don't understand. I try to follow the science. I've had the disease and survived it, so I should be immune. I've had the vaccine and I should be immune. And I don't understand all the nonsense with triple masks when you're outside. Our fearless leader in Washington. But nonetheless, I am in favor of going back to in-person meetings. I thought our budget meeting in the lobby or lounge area of the auditorium was a good space. I'm not sure how you can accommodate the audience in that, but I think it's a good space as far as the audio goes for me. And so, but I'm more than willing to go back to the bistro room. I just think that I think we need to try to have some form of normalcy. And I understand that there are those out there that are still concerned they may contract it, the virus, but I'm not one of them. So there's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Commissioner Good. Michael has his hand raised, but let me just make sure, are there any other commissioners like to make comment on possibly going back to in-person meetings?
I guess I'd like to know if there's anybody that would be opposed as far as commissioners or staff here that's on tonight.
Good question. Commissioner Burr does have his hand, and then Michael, I'll come to you.
I was just going to concur with Commissioner Good in all aspects.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Michael.
Yes, Your Honor. So I think the only space that we could legally do it would be the dining room, to be able to accommodate all of the commission, staff, guests. I think it probably would have to be in the dining room space.
And that's because of the upcoming meetings that you were talking about, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, for our meetings, we easily get 15 people to start with, and if we have any guests, I don't think we're going to be able to really fit in the lounge lobby area.
Okay.
Well, as long as it's not in the basement, I'm okay. In the dining room now with the acoustic panels, that area is also quite acceptable now, utilizing the PA system.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, with the acoustic panels and the partitions, hopefully it's improved. I think it's worth a shot.
And I'm in favor for going back to the face-to-face meetings too. I think that they were, I just think they're a better way to do things. And I saw Commissioner Smith raise his thumb up, so it looks like he's in favor of going back. Commissioner Klinger just raised his thumb up, so I think we're good there on it. It looks like you have a
Consensus.
overall approval going back.
I'd like to chime in just briefly. I see that our city attorney is muted. You may want to unmute just for a second. Mike, you used the term the way we can do it legally, and it's my understanding that the health department gives us guidance. And I don't see where the legislation has passed a law, but my understanding of the definition of guidance is a general rule, principle, or piece of advice. And so to utilize the adjective legally just seems to me to be incorrect. But city attorney, could you tell me that they're going to come in and arrest us?
Only if we're lucky, John.
If we're lucky.
I think the guidances are still covered by the health department orders and the Department of Labor orders. So we would still need to comply with those guidances. The probability of there ever being an arrest or a citation, I think, is greatly reduced at this point. But earlier on, there were some communities that ignored the guidance that did have legal ramifications arising out of that. So it'd be my recommendation that if we do go back to in person, that we still comply with the
social distancing.
Yeah, social distancing and the other guidance from the departments.
Yeah, the guidance has legal force, and I can tell you that businesses, both from the health department and MIOSHA, are still getting fines.
Okay, Commissioner Wiki has his hand up.
Just a quick question, regarding the 6 feet thing, just again, going into restaurants and places where you check out, the use of plexiglass, you definitely are within 6 feet. I'm just wondering what the rule is on that. I'm just thinking of the VSLOC room again. If we utilize plexiglass, even between visitors, to be able to use that room. That's it.
Yeah, I did check on that. It's been, feels like a couple months on the plexiglass idea. And plexiglass is an engineering control that's implemented when you are unable to socially distance, as an example with like cashiers at grocery stores. So at the time, the health department, when I talked to her, she said, well, that doesn't mean that's only if you're in a circumstance that you can demonstrate that you're unable to socially distance, and then you would still be required to quarantine. As an example, because you're not within or you're not separated by the 6 feet distancing.
Okay. So I still think we're looking at possibly going back, Michael, to face. Let's give it a try.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other comments, Michael?
Oh, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Andrew, I didn't want to forget you.
I appreciate it, but I have nothing for you this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Right. And again, as always, thank you for doing these meetings for us, watching over us on it. Thank you very much. Commissioners, Commissioner Burr.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Klinger.
Yeah, I just wanted to, say I hope I see some of you guys there tomorrow night at the 100 Goodfellas meeting, first meeting of our area. I'll be there myself. I know Dan will as well. I'm excited to see this be put on and move forward. Just a big opportunity for, a large group of individuals to come forward and try to find ways to impact the city month after month. Big appreciation of that. But I might see you guys downtown Friday night. I'll definitely be seeing Field of Dreams at the Strand Theater, since they have a couple more weeks of throwback movies for us to enjoy. So American Graffiti is there too for anyone else looking for some real nostalgia. But other than that, I appreciate you guys' time and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Wiki.
Nothing for tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. One question for Mike Hughes. Progress on third-party plan review, et cetera. Any progress on that?
You're muted, Michael.
You're muted.
Yeah, so I thought our next step, I'm not sure if we have yet, but Will's working on reaching out to one of the major companies that are contracted with in Michigan, just to try to understand how third-party contracts are structured and how they work, just to get a sense of, how those systems work. And so that's really the next step.
Okay, and thank you, Mike. Secondly, in concert with Commissioner Klinger, I too will be there tomorrow night at the 100 Goodfellas, and I would really like to see other commissioners there. And in order to do that, I am going to make an offer to any other commissioner that would like to go, but thinks that the C note is a little bit too much. I'll take half of that for one of you. So if you want to go for $50, I'll kick in the other 50. Sure would like to see more guys there. Dan, you had 69 according to the email I got this afternoon. I'd sure like to see you reach that 100 level. I think our local charities can really benefit from this, and I think it's a fantastic idea.
John, if anyone is willing to take up your offer of that $50 donation to their first contribution, I'll cover the other half and make it a free entry for the first time and see someone move forward.
Okay.
So there's your chance.
Yeah, thank you both.
Unfortunately, Suzanne, you can't be that one.
Are you all set, John? Is that it? I believe so. Commissioner Malone, any comments?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith. Thank you. I'm getting good at reading lips here. Thank you,
You're
sir.
muted.
Vice Mayor Mullins.
Yeah, just one quick one for Commissioner Malone. I'm a little disappointed that you had little, connection problems. It seems like your water boy / IT man in the house might have taken better care of that stuff for you, but I guess he's not as literate in the IT things as I thought he was. And also, I'm hoping to look forward to seeing some of you guys. I know the city usually does for the United Way golf outing on Friday. Maybe Mr. Rose, Mr. Cook, I don't know, Mr. Bird, since you're back in town, you know, all of you. Hopefully everybody's out there and we can have a nice sunny, shiny day for some golf.
I'm part of a squad.
You're not on Don Frost squad, are you?
No, I'm on an office squad.
Oh, good. All right.
Who's
Looking
driving the bar cart? Oh,
I have been tasked with bringing what is affectionately known as swing juice. So
okay.
you can go from there.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank
Heard
you.
about that swing
Vice
juice at
Mayor.
the country club.
All right. I just have a couple comments here. I don't, for Mother's Day, I took my wife out to actually, our son took my wife out and I got a free meal to his mother to the auditorium. And I'm going to say kudos to Sheila. They did a very, very good job. So I would encourage anyone to go and use the auditorium for that Sunday brunch. I think she's doing a good job on it, as I said, and well attended on it. The other item I will bring up is I have gotten a couple emails. I know Michael's gotten some emails, and I think Vice Mayor might have also on, and I think Mike has also addressed it, the trash pickup. And Mike has asked, he just really can't do anything unless he gets approval from the commission to look at, Michael, quote, correct me if I'm wrong, if we want to amend our ordinance for our noise ordinance, correct?
Yes, currently we don't have anything in the ordinance to specifically address, regulating the hours of waste hauler pickup.
And what we do is we have one of the haulers in our city is starting about between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would, if the commission would like the staff to look at possibly modifying that ordinance, he needs our approval to take a look at that. Would you, as I said, we've gotten several complaints, and with my conversations with Mike, we feel that we're going to get more complaints about it. So would we like to have Michael and the staff to look at possibly amending this ordinance and bring it back to us? I've got a thumbs up by Commissioner Malone and Commissioner Wiki, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Klinger. Anybody else? I would like to have Commissioner Burr also. I think we should have our staff look at amending this or possibly amending this ordinance. So is that enough, Michael, for that?
I think so, yeah.
All right, we will do that. Commissioner Klinger has his hand raised.
Yeah, I got to work in the back on Sunday, actually. Took a little time to volunteer and help them out. They were quite short-handed and short-staffed. And, I got to really give a shout out to Anna Dibble and Sheila and their new head chef in the back, Maria. They are running a very high intensity, but at this time, well-oiled machine. And, double cheers to Anna, just because her whole family was in there helping out, husband, kids, just putting in time to make sure things go smoothly. And from every review I got, from every person that I got to see and say hello to, everybody was just over the moon about the food, over the moon about the service, just very satisfied. So, if you see them out and about anytime, you know who they are, give Anna and her family a big appreciation. Same to Sheila. They're doing a lot of good things, and it's just moving forward and up constantly. So thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that comment, Commissioner Klinger. Vice Mayor Mullins.
Yeah, thank you. Just, I don't want to start a conversation on it, but I just wanted to make a point. I was in Portage today, and down on the south end of Portage, everybody had their junk out there. And when Mayor Heil had mentioned something about trash pickup, it got me thinking about big trash pickup. Remember, we used to have, I think it was the Knights of Columbus that kind of helped out with that or whatever. I'm not sure how that all ended and everything. I think it was more over expense and volunteers, that kind of thing. And I'm wondering if there might be conversations about doing something like that again in the future. So I just want to throw it out there. I thought I've mentioned it before, but just thought it'd be worth mentioning again.
Andrew's got his hand raised.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have the luxury of the raise hand feature from my side of things, but Vice Mayor, yeah, we do the large item trash pickup with the Ministerial Association, and we've done that kind of periodically and sporadically. So if the commission, I mean, they're always interested, willing to partner with us. We can certainly look at that again sometime. Either we typically do it in the spring, but we could look at doing it at some point this year, see if they're interested. If the commission is
The
interested.
Ministerial Association, like I said, I didn't want to get into a discussion, but I'll ask you a question. That is an appointment type thing, right? Not just throw it out to the curb and.
Correct. So the way we've done it here recently, I don't know when we've done it, and it's not been every year, but when we've done it, it's been a drop off location at the compost site where anybody could drop something off, and then the Ministerial Association was the volunteer force to bring things to the site.
I'm most interested in the convenience of just putting it out to the curb. I mean, that's the biggest thing there.
Gotcha.
So, thank you.
All right.
I might chime in on that just briefly. I was involved in the very early on big trash pickups. Our bicycle club was the lucky recipient of the funds that were raised from the metal that was recovered and taken to Sturgis Iron and Metal at the time. And we worked those big trash pickups, and it was at the curb. And we did it probably 4 years in a row, 5. And then, of course, we all aged. Several of us had shoulder surgery from lifting water heaters, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, it was really something that fed our treasury. But what happened after that was that the night before, the scavengers would come through town and all the metal would be gone. So what we realized after the big trash pickup was minimal compared to the first few years. And so our discouragement was absolute. And we said, we're out. And then some others picked it up. But even so, if there isn't a reward for whatever group volunteers to do that, then you're going to be hard pressed to get it done.
Thank you, John. If there's not any more comments, I will take a motion to go into closed session to discuss purchase of property.
So moved.
Vice Mayor Mullins approved. Do I have a second?
Second that, Commissioner
And I
Klinger.
got a second by Commissioner Klinger. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wiki,
Yes.
Commissioner Burr,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins,
Yes.
Commissioner Littman, Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
All right.
Mayor Heil.
Yes.
We're in closed session.
Okay. And you should have got instructions from Andrew on to sign out and go into that session. So we'll see you over there. And it looks like we have everybody here. Commissioner Klinger is not with us yet. Take a moment here and see if he gets logged in. While we are waiting for him, I will ask, is there any other comments pertaining to our regular meeting or anything else that would be like to be brought up? Seeing none, can we just, I'm not at loss, what should we do with Commissioner Klinger?
Let's put him in the stocks.
Right. If not, I'm going to go ahead and close this meeting and I will send a text to him and let him know we have adjourned. So we are adjourning. I'm closing the meeting. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. We are adjourned.